Welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
I'm Dan.
I'm Kaila.
And I'm Josh. And Ari was supposed to be here, but he had a prior engagement pop up, so he was not able to make this particular discussion, so I thought we would have someone that looks cute and smart, just to fill the seat. And
thanks, Josh.
that would apply to you too, but otherwise, why is the owl is sitting in? Because I have been an avid Beanie Baby collector for 20 some odd years. Ari got that for me as a gift because he got Beanie Baby gifts for his friends based off of traits that he found were applicable to the Beanie Baby. So his choice for me was quite honorable. So thank you, Ari. I'll see you next week when we discuss that work. But today we are talking about Sandman Volume 2, The Doll's House, by Neil Gaiman and various illustrators, to be specific, Mike Dringenberg, Malcolm Jones III, Chris Baccialo, Michael Zulli, and Steve Parkhouse. This is the 30th anniversary edition. Dan, you have a discussion starter?
Yes. First of all, I want to say the thing is I absolutely love this one more than the first volume, so I'm kind of glad we continue this.
Yeah.
But what I do have to say is we meet a character in this book, and yeah, again, there's going to be spoilers, so if you want to read it, don't click off right here. But we meet a character who has immortality. Like, he was given immortality, I think, in 1382, they said, or no, 1389, sorry. You know, he starts to enjoy it, and the thing is, later on in his life, it goes bad, you know, which is kind of something that always happens with immortality. So, that brings me to the question and discussion starter. If you were offered immortality, would you take it? And if you did, do you think that you would enjoy it and then begin to hate it later on in life like he did? Or answer why?
It's an interesting question.
That is.
Because we're talking about something way beyond the text, because my face value answer to that would be no, because, I mean, it's similar to that question, would you like to live forever?
True.
And it all depends on what your form is. Meeting new people and being in new circumstances would be interesting, but if it is you aging and just losing the people that you love most.
Yeah, because like, he's lost his wife and child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just a very bleak situation as far as being... and it also depends on how other people respond to you, and probably, if I was immortal, I could probably finish my entire book collection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
probably.
That. But yeah, that's a bright side. It's all a matter of what your values are and whether or not you're willing to embrace changes among them.
I think the thing is, I would probably end up like him. You know, I would enjoy it for the first few centuries, like kind of like he did. After I've succeeded, where do I go from there? The reason why we do the things that we do in life is because we know we have limited time. And when we do it, okay, now we can die happy. But if you can't die, and you complete everything you want to do, where do you go from there?
It's similar to that idea of the whole cliche of when a kid wishes that Christmas was every day.
Yeah.
The first few days and maybe even weeks, they really enjoy it and immerse themselves in it, but then it gets to the point where you can only go so far, and then it just becomes tedious.
I think it's a fairly Odd said episode, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a bit more of a visual where the presents started to get less and less, and the supplies started to get less and less.
Yeah, the carolers ran out of what to say on days.
And Dad ran out of his eggnog.
On the 300th day of Christmas. The socks? Yeah, socks are good.
But as far as this work is concerned, the one thing that stuck out to me is that there was a greater deal of concentration within a given story. I think that the story from Preludes and Nocturnes was stronger, but I think that the story was more focused here.
Yeah.
I think Rose Walker's story was very intriguing. I think we were able to follow and connect with her.
Yeah, we also got to meet a few more, what were they called? Endless? The thing is, we get to see Desire, Despair, I forget what the other one was, but yeah, we get to see a few more of those, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I think that the character-driven plotline in this second work in the series was definitely a stronger focal point for me than the first one. The first one was fantastic. I'm very happy that we continued doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked the character-driven aspect of this one. I think that Rose was very compelling. And I liked to follow her storyline.
Yeah. And I'm more a fan of character-driven stories than I am just characters in a story.
Yeah.
And the supporting cast was also strong too. To me, Gilbert reminded me of Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah.
By all means. And I think that he was a good supporting guide for that time. The people that resided in her house were provided an extra element of entertainment. Ken and Barbie.
Oh yeah, the things, they all had weird personalities and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
One was named Zelda, which I'm disappointed they used a Zelda reference from the Zelda video game.
Zelda and Chantel.
Yeah, Chantel.
Chantel.
I was very tripped up by the introduction of that, paired with the title of this one being the dollhouse, and then you flash forward to her getting back to Florida, and she's meeting these people in this house, and they're Ken and Barbie, and I was like, shit, she's in the dollhouse. Oh
no. That only makes, that really makes it.
So I expected that to be the ending, so I was surprised when that wasn't it.
And then their dreams are also something to really, it gives that Inception kind of element to it.
Yeah.
But you also...
Well, we're dealing with a guy named Dreams, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or Morbius, or some other weird names he goes by.
You have Hal, who is the cross-dressing landlord. Or,
oh yeah, he does performances of drag.
Yeah.
He does, because Rose was going to one of them too. There's her younger brother Jed, who he had a very strong story.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah, very compelling.
Yeah.
I feel like I wanted to say something about that specifically. Oh, what did you guys think of Dream's two cohorts being able to section off the one dreamland from Jed?
I thought that was interesting because I was just we know him as Dream, so we assume that he controls all dreams. I'm assuming you're talking about the ones that he created.
Yeah, when he created
so the thing is, that makes me think that
Sandman.
if he creates other beings from his own power, that they may have the same powers as he does, just maybe to a lesser degree.
That's a good
So the thing
idea.
is, that was interesting to me, is that, okay, so he created these two, the thing is, maybe they have some powers similar to Dream. I'm gonna call him Dream, because the thing is, he goes by different names.
Mm-hmm. I think most people refer to him as a major title as Dream.
Yeah.
Prince went by he went by a symbol for a while.
The artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah, the artist formerly known as Prince, but it was spelled by the symbol.
Were there any characters from the first one that you guys missed in the second one? For me, I really missed Death because I really liked her.
Yeah, I thought because Death came toward the end, but she really made a big splash.
Yeah.
The one that oversaw Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
Through Preludes and Nocturnes.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that book, though, Preludes and Nocturnes, was more so about the rise of Dream and how Dream really took fruition.
There's actually an origin book that if we get to at some point, we should probably do, that explains his origins of how he became Dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Preludes and Nocturnes was it concentrated on Dream.
Yeah.
In particular. The Doll's House concentrates on a situation that Dream is orchestrating, even if he's not as present as he was in the first book.
Yeah. I think the reason why he was going after Rose is because she had a dream vortex.
Yes, and but Unity stepped in. She was depicted as an older woman. She had a very interesting structure to her.
Yeah.
But she took the place and was able to free Rose and bring her back into the real world and reunite her with her mother and her brother.
So Dream, basically, he's kind of neutral in most of the stuff that he does. So the thing is, I understand that he had no problem with killing Rose, but us as the readers, we don't want him to do that.
No, we don't.
Yeah. So I was just if it did come down to it where he got to the point where he had to kill her, he was going to do it, because he's not good, he's not evil, he just has to protect what he does.
He comes off as an anti-hero. With Rose, she's someone that comes off as being a protagonist. That's the way we see her. We don't like to see people like her being killed, even if it's for the greater good, kind of like with Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. We don't want to see him join the dark side, because usually a villain wants to destroy or do something to weaken their opponent. In that case, and in this case, it was more so they wanted to use them for something that would maybe benefit them, but that's not what Rose wanted.
I actually think that Dream tends towards the side of good. Like, he's definitely neutral, but I think he errs on the side of good a little bit more, too, because after he took Unity instead of Rose, he also bestowed a gift upon Rose of her brother waking back up, and he had, like, no reason to do that.
Yeah. No one is ever truly neutral.
No.
The thing is, sometimes you lean a little bit more to the good, sometimes you lean a little bit more to the evil. I would say he's neutral with a leaning towards good.
Yeah.
I think his intentions do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's looking to hurt anybody. I think he's looking to
Just
help.
preserve.
Preserve.
Yeah.
And, pretty much help his cause. So.
I do have to say one thing. I was kind of surprised, like, one of the bar scenes where he's talking to the immortal guy, which, by the way, I remember his name is Hob. We actually get to see an ancestor to John Constantine from the comics, Constantine. I don't know if you guys know who that is. We actually get to meet one of his ancestors, and I thought that was pretty cool. The things that it ties into the DC universe.
This series does tie in. It's published by DC, but it's interesting that Gaiman ties it in more ways than one, making various references, like that of referring to the Joker.
Yeah.
In Preludes and Nocturnes. It's an interesting thing to look into. What were your thoughts about the folk tale, or the fairy tale?
Good, I'm glad we're going to talk about that.
Beginning.
The whole time I was like, I don't understand like what that piece in the beginning had anything to do with the rest of it. But then when we found out that Gilbert was actually, what was it, Fiddler's Green, I think it was called?
Yes.
Do you guys think that Fiddler's Green was that society from the folktale?
I'm not entirely sure. I didn't connect them that way. I think the folktale aspect of it, it's interesting that they preserve it as being driven by the storytelling aspect and how it changes through the years and how there's no clear ending. I mean, if this is driven by legend, there's a good chance it could be, but...
I mean, now that you mention it, I can kind of see the connection, but I didn't see that the first time I read it. So
okay.
Maybe if I read it again, maybe I'll see more of a connection, but that is an interesting point that you bring up. But I didn't pick up on it the first time I read it.
That was kind of how I interpreted it, just because obviously that man from the folktale in the beginning is Dream, like the one who fell in love with Nadia.
Yeah.
And then in my head, I kind of interpreted it as he couldn't save Nadia, but he was able to like bring her city to the dreamland in the form of.
Because to her, she thought that he was a more of a mortal person to fall in love with, but he was not. He was an immoral.
Yeah.
And she couldn't put herself through that and her city through that, so it pretty much drove her into that, where their confrontation went beyond death, and of course she wasn't going to let him sway her into what he wanted. It was just interesting, that legendary folklore aspect, which he gave him the gem heart and just tossed it, and then we see it again at the end.
When Unity...
when Unity gave it to Rose.
Yes.
It's definitely interesting to see, like, the connection of the two gem hearts, because, like, what does it mean?
That's probably a closer connection.
Yeah.
A clearer connection.
And it probably happens later on in the series if we choose to continue this. Who knows?
Yeah.
The next one is Dream Country.
Yeah.
So,
which I heard Death come back to that one, so
I'm definitely going to continue this series. I've really enjoyed it both times that we've spoken about it.
I think we've written it's pretty good. Do we have any final thoughts?
I like this one more than the first one, if I'm being completely honest. So the thing is, I would suggest if you really like the first one, definitely read the second one. It's more character-driven. If you like that, you'll definitely love it.
I agree. It's more, as I said, more focused. It's easier to get into.
Well, I think that first one was just kind of like a bunch of standalone stories. This one has like a connecting story.
It is a connecting story.
Which is why I love that, because things I do like a story that connects.
Yeah.
But these were released as issues, so Preludes and Nocturnes is 1 to 8, and they were just various stories. This is 9 to 16, which turned out being a continuing story.
Originally it was 8 to 16. Most modern releases, which I think Josh has, is actually 9 to 16, I think you said.
The interesting concept about that is 8 takes on a similar vein as 9 and how it stands as an individual story. Once we get to know Rose, I think that is in the 10th part. That's when it starts being a continuing work. I haven't read the rest of the series, so I don't know what to expect in 17. If we're gonna stay with her a little bit, or we're just gonna move on to something completely different. How would we rate it? 0 to 5 stars, half stars per minute, Dan?
I'd definitely say 4.5. Yeah, I actually like the story. I thought it flowed well with the characters. I love the connection of the story. The thing is, I definitely want to read more of it. Kind of curious of what was in issue number 8 and why it was cut.
That was Death and Dream. Death and Dream's interactions with one another, and we get to know Death and what she does. That's the one with the comedian, the terrible comedian that was killed. It was their interaction with each other. So I remember that's how Preludes and Nocturnes ended.
I thought it was good. It was a little too short, though.
Kaila?
I would say 4.5 as well. I think Neil Gaiman is a fantastic author, so anything you pick up by him is worth your time.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 3.5. I gave the first one 3.5, but I think that the strengths within the Preludes and Nocturnes and the strengths here compared to the weaknesses of both, I think they offset. So I can't really say that I like this. I may like this a little bit more, but not enough to bump it up, which I was almost going to do, but did not.
Let's hear what the Owl has to say. Interesting.
Thrilling.
I think Wise is doing a wise thing and staying neutral on this one.
Yeah, he's like the Sandman, staying neutral.
Okay.
With a lean towards evil!
Maybe in the world of bats.
You ever see what owls do to rats?
Wise would rather study the books, though. He wants to get into classical music.
Good for him.
If you're interested in checking out The Sandman, Volume 2, The Doll's House, here is my copy. It's the 30th anniversary edition. This includes issues 9 to 16. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel, and be sure to check Kaila out on her channel, Drunk in the Library.
And I don't have a channel.
And Dan does not have an active channel. Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
Hi everybody, it's Ari from Literary Gladiators, and we've got a really, really good episode coming up next week. We are going to be beginning the Series of Unfortunate Events books. We're going to start with The Bad Beginning. I know we just did a Lemony Snicket, but we're doing a couple for the little Lemony Snicket thing we got going on right now. And thank you for supporting Literary Gladiators. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And, if you want to support us on Patreon, we're there too. And hope to see you next time for an excellent episode for Series of Unfortunate Events. The Bad Beginning. For now, keep reading.